Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square. Joining me today is the Center Square's Wisconsin correspondent, Benjamin Yount. Ben, let's talk about the new state budget. There's the governor's budget. We discussed that last week, and we know that's pretty much DOA. What about the budget that the Republicans are constructing right now?
It is going to be a budget, and it will spend $40 billion plus a year, and they'll do something with the record $7.1 billion surplus. Other than that, we really don't know the specifics because the people who are going to write the budget don't know the specifics yet. Wisconsin, first of all, we do 2-year state budgets, which makes it interesting because the biennium projections can be all over the place. And it's also tough to predict out in the future 2 years. You know, if we were sitting here in 2021, I don't know that everyone would predict 2023 being exactly what it was. Go back and ask people in 2019, hey, what do you think the summer of 2020 will be? And I don't think anybody would have said, well, masks and no vacation and sitting around the house and getting martinis ordered curbside because, well, that's how we do it now. There is some sort of just inherent technical difficulty in making a 2-year budget. I got to get that out of the way because that's the easy excuse for saying Republicans are just now beginning the process. And most of the process so far is whittling out what's not going to be in the budget. State Rep Mark Bourne and State Senator Howard Marklein, both of them Republicans who lead the all-powerful Joint Finance Committee here in Wisconsin. And that's really the heavy lifting in the legislature, that JFC writes the budget. And because the budget is so all-encompassing, pretty much anything that has to do with any kind of money is included in the budget. Sure, there are some standalone pieces of legislation on crime or standalone resolutions. We want to make cheddar the official cheese. I actually think it's Colby that they want to make the official cheese of Wisconsin. But everything else comes down to the budget. And Bourne and Marklein were at a candidates forum earlier this week, and they said the governor's budget is DOA. There's nothing in there that is going to happen. The way that the way that Marklein put it is, you know, there's no way that we're going to do driver's license for illegals. There's no way we're going to do in-state tuition for illegals. There's no way we're going to expand Medicaid. There's no way we're going to do so many of the other things that the governor has proposed year in, year out. That likely also means no legal weed here in Wisconsin. The concession, if you can call it that, from Republicans, the piece of the Republican budget that Bourne and Marklein nixed is the 3.25% flat tax. Wisconsin right now has one of the higher personal income taxes in the state of Wisconsin, up to almost 8%. Republicans have been pretty clear that they want to cut taxes in a meaningful way. This is why they've been eyeing this $7 billion in surplus money. They want to use that to pay for a long-lasting, substantial tax cut for families. The top Republican in the Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu, proposed going to a flat tax. 3.25% would be the lowest in the Midwest. We would be lower than Michigan and Illinois. Iowa would be close, but we would be slightly under that. Wisconsin would be slightly under that at a 3.25%. And of course, the taxes in Minnesota are very, very high, so we would be far cheaper than that. But Governor Evers has made it clear he will veto that plan if he ever sees it. And so Bourne and Marklein acknowledged reality and said, we would eventually like to get Wisconsin to a flat tax. But with this governor, it's not going to happen. And so what kind of tax cut will be included? We don't know. What kind of extra spending will be included? We don't know, because those hearings, that process, the sifting out of, okay, well, this is what UW wants, this is what local government wants, this is what they'll get. That hasn't happened yet, but it's coming.
Okay. Anything else to add to that, Ben?
This is going to be an interesting year because the point that Bourne and Marklein made is over the past decade, you've had relatively solid economic numbers. The economy, particularly here in Wisconsin, has chugged along pretty well. We are a very manufacturing-heavy state. And up until the recent economic unpleasantness, manufacturers were pretty steady. I mean, again, you need toilet paper. You need the things that are made across the state of Wisconsin. We do make a lot of toilet paper. Bourne and Marklein say the guarantee of those good economic times is now out the window. We've written story after story. Wisconsin manufacturers and commerce say that most business owners in the state expect to be in a recession by the end of the year. And while they think Wisconsin may be a little bit better, they have zero faith in the national economy. Bourne and Marklein echoed that, saying that they're vastly uncertain. There is an air of uncertainty that hangs over this budget process. And so they are very, very reluctant to spend big money on new programs that will continue to cost going forward. And they want to make sure that Wisconsin does have money in the bank in case the economy sours. And so with that air of uncertainty, don't expect to see any expansion of government. There may be some shared revenue, that state money that goes back to local governments. That's going to be passed along under the guise of inflation. But, we just saw earlier this week, the governor proposed, millions of dollars more. I can't remember the exact price tag, but he proposed millions of dollars more for a new professional soccer stadium in Milwaukee. He proposed a $4 billion building program, half of which would go to the UW. Don't expect any of that to happen because, again, we're seeing fewer students in Wisconsin. And we're still waiting to see what the agreement will be with the Brewers Stadium. Bourne and Marklein, and this is a story that I may write today or may write tomorrow, they talked about public funding for American Family Field. The governor has said $300 million at the least. There are these competing stadium surveys, put the price tag anywhere from $300 to $600 million. And both Bourne and Marklein said there is a desire to keep the Brewers in Milwaukee and a desire to work something out that will not harm taxpayers. But Marklein, who's from Spring Green, which is in central Wisconsin, said you start to get out to that area. You get out of Milwaukee and the Wow counties. You get away from people who can pop over to Milwaukee and catch a ball game on the weekend. And the idea of millions of dollars from taxpayers to a billion-dollar corporation for a stadium that they built years ago, it becomes a lot less popular. So we're waiting to see what happens with the Brewers Stadium deal. I would expect something will be in the budget. How much, what the details are, that's what we're here for. We get to find out together.
Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. For the stories of Benjamin Yount, this is Bruce Walker. Please subscribe, and thanks for listening.
Freedom and liberty are important to all of us. If you're looking for civil, intellectual conversations with those shaping the future of freedom, try the Future of Freedom podcast with me, Scott Bertram. We speak with leaders across the country in the greater conservative and libertarian movements. In-depth conversations about where the next intellectual battles will happen across the country. It's the Future of Freedom podcast. Find it at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcasts.